Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. It's a beautiful day in Republic. I've got the week off from work, so I'm getting a bunch of projects done at home. And I just picked up some new flooring for installing in my gym. Haven't gotten around to doing that yet, but it's on the to-do list for this week. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about the art of repurposing. I've kind of touched on the topic before in some of my other videos. So first off, I need to define what exactly I'm talking about. In a way, it's similar to DIY, do it yourself. There's some overlap there, but not necessarily completely the same. Doesn't always involve building something from scratch, but basically at its simplest, it's just taking an object that's meant for one particular thing and using it for a completely different purpose. And it's amazing sometimes the functionality that you can get by doing repurposing like that. So just to kind of give you an idea of how I got into that, for many, many years, we never had the kind of budget to be able to replace things when they broke down. And, I couldn't hire somebody else to do things. I got in the habit of having to do everything myself and frequently get by without new parts. So, I've learned a lot about improvising. And then now, there's still times that happens where I just simply can't afford to replace something. But even more of a factor now is that we're in a really remote rural area. There are no stores in our county that are open 24 hours a day. And the nearest Home Depot or Walmart, they're at least 50 miles away. So not exactly convenient to run and pick up parts, especially at odd hours. So kind of have to make do with what we have a lot of times. And so my basic process when I need something is just what I call going shopping in my garage or my storage shed or barn. And typically I will just kind of clear my mind, let it wander, and go into one of those buildings and just walk around and look at what I have. And as I let my mind wander, frequently I will come across something that clearly isn't designed for the thing that I'm looking for, but my imagination, I can start to look at different possibilities of what I could substitute. And frequently I will come up with 2 or 3 different objects that could be wildly different, but could be used in different ways to accomplish the same thing. And then I'll gather those up, go back to my project, and kind of look at how things would fit together and figure out what the best option would be. And I have a pretty sizable stash of different broke down stuff or spare parts and things, and most of it not new, but just accumulated over the years. And most of the time I can find something that will work when I'm trying to make a repair or do some project of making something. Some of that is obvious in my videos I've done about my do-it-yourself and homemade gym equipment. You can see some definite repurposing with some of the things I've made for that. And I have a lot of other examples of project I've worked around on my property and on the house. I'm not necessarily going to show too many of those things on my channel, but I have a lot of experience with doing that sort of thing. It definitely takes an open mind to consider unusual possibilities. But as I got into doing more outdoor activities, got involved in search and rescue and doing campouts and trying to improve my gear out in the field, I've come to apply the same repurposing concepts towards my outdoor gear. And, you know, not just making repairs, but trying to figure out what will best suit my purposes out in the field. And I've kind of come to the conclusion there's three basic categories, different processes of repurposing. You know, there's most likely more, but those are the broad categories that I place different things in. The first category is just the simple one of like doing my repairs and projects at home, just trying to find something that will work for what I need, you know, something that I have on hand for a specific need. And I should mention that these different categories and the examples I give, I will put links in the description in case you're interested in watching those videos, that looking at ways that I've implemented this. But so as far as just shopping for stuff at home to suit a specific purpose, a good example of that is my sled pulling system, my utility sled that I pull around in the snow for camping out in the woods in the winter. I needed a way to pull that easily, and ended up repurposing some old rope and hardware from my fall arrest systems from my roofing days, and it works great. And I found out there's actually an additional bonus on that that was unexpected, but that came about as a result of just going through the garage and trying to find something that would work for what I needed. Then the second category is buying something for one particular purpose, but then upon getting that item, looking for other possible uses for it too, to make it multifunctional and just more useful all around in the field. I carry a fairly heavy pack for search and rescue and for other camping and hiking and such. And as long as I'm going to be adding more weight to my loadout, I like to be able to combine functions with it and, you know, be able to get more use out of it than just one particular thing. So a couple of examples on that. One would be my Bushcraft Gladius, or I purchased basically a Gladius, like a modern version of a Roman Gladius, as a backup sidearm to carry when I'm out in the woods, and then discovered that it was also useful for various bushcraft tasks. And that was kind of an interesting little discovery with it, which makes it more worthwhile to carry the thing around. Another example is my emergency stretcher that I carry in my pack, which I have in case we need to load up somebody out in the woods and carry them out to where we can get them onto a better stretcher, or if we happen to have our rigid litter, we can still use the cloth stretcher to get them on and then load them into the litter. So that's the primary purpose for it, but I've discovered it also makes it a very usable and comfortable field cot with a little bit of work with branches and such. And you know, you can check out the video on that too. I was pleasantly surprised by how well that worked. And then the final category is when you just want something for a specific purpose and there is really nothing that is marketed for that you know, nothing you have on hand and nothing that you can find online that's for that particular purpose. You come up with some unusual use case you want some gear for, and you know, it just, nobody has done it. And then end up having to do some searching and try to find something else for a completely different purpose that would fit that. And you know, a really classic example of that for me was when I wanted a way to have a quick, dry, fire-resistant surface to start fires on when it's bad conditions, you know, wet or snowy or whatever, and without having to make a little platform of branches and jump through all the process of that. I wanted to be able to just pull something out, set it down, and build my fire on it without it burning up. And so a little research online led me to find welding blankets. And then I thought it would work, but I had to actually buy something and test it out, and I have a video of that, and it works just flawlessly. And then since then I've discovered it also works well for, just like as a hot pad for handling hot cookware, and can also be used just as a quick thing to set on and, you know, to stay dry. It's similar to using a closed cell foam pad, but it's just very light and easy to carry around and dries very quickly, but very flame resistant. So anyway, you can check out more on that video if you're interested. But those are kind of the three categories and some examples of what I have done. And you know, the bottom line is there's so many different things where you can come up with alternative uses and, you know, repurpose gear, get more functionality out of it, you know, or just do quick repairs without the appropriate stuff. Now, obviously, I wouldn't recommend doing this like for any really life safety type things. Don't try repurposing gear if you're going to be doing rock climbing or replacing the brakes on your car or something like that, where if something goes wrong, you could die or be seriously hurt. Under those circumstances, definitely go with what is made specifically for that purpose. But for everything else, I figure anything goes. Just have to be creative, make use of what you have, or figure out other things that will work. There's not really any limit on that. Yeah, you might void a warranty or something. If you're concerned about that, then don't do it. You know, probably that emergency stretcher that I have, you know, if there's a problem with it because I was sleeping on it, they wouldn't really want to cover that under warranty, but I don't care. It's, you know, it's nothing I'm going to be making a claim on anyway. So as long as you keep those things in mind, you know, people like to use that phrase, think outside the box, but personally I think that's trite and kind of limiting. Personally, I believe that when it comes to using gear for whatever purpose you want, there is no box. Make your own decisions on what the purpose of that gear is. Feel free to repurpose as needed and enjoy the benefits. So anyway, that's all I have on that topic. Hope you found it interesting. This has been Republic Jim. I'll talk to you later.